Maybe I should try to be more like a regular YouTuber. Let's try that one. What's up, everybody? Welcome back, you Woodatics, and welcome to another Glacial Geek video. Before we go any further, make sure that you punch that like button in the face and give a little karate chop to that notification bell if you want to hear any more that comes out of this mouth. No, I don't think so. Ain't nobody got time for that. Oh, speaking of which... Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Glacial Geek video. I am Phil, the Glacial Geek, and today I am going to be talking about something that I think literally every single hobbyist comes through, whether you're doing the hobby that we love and that I'm about here with miniature wargaming, or if you are into literally anything else, but who has time for anything in this world? Literally, it seems like the second I blink, the day is over, it's time to go to sleep and, and sit in bed and listen to the voices as the dread reaches into us. But we always have these situations where we sit there and it's like, oh, if I just had more time, I could get my army built. I could get my army painted. I could get them based. I could go out and play more games. I could do something. I could paint that bust that I've wanted to paint. I could create that project that I wanted to work on. It's always about time. And at a certain point, there's a finite amount of it in a day. You got 24 hours, that time's got to be spent sleeping, that time's got to be spent eating, drinking to survive. You've got to presumably wash yourself at some point during the week. You have to at some point interact with other people. We have jobs, we have relationships, we have responsibilities, we have things that we need to do. And the dog needs to be taken out. It's just something that they need to do. So at a certain point, we will run out of time in any given day, week, month, year, lifetime. We have a finite amount of time on this earth, and it always seems like we're struggling to find more of it for all the various different things that we want to do. We wish we had more time to go see that movie or that TV show. I've just got no time to read all the books that I want to read. I've got not enough time to see my friends, all these different things, and we sit in a hobby that is especially time consuming. Between the games, between the building of the models, between the painting of the models, it takes a lot of time to do what we do. It's not like a video game where you just pop it in and we can play it, and that's the entirety of the hobby with it. With us, there's a lot of prep time and a lot of things that go into it, and presumably it's aspects that you enjoy. Sometimes it might not be. Maybe you don't enjoy building models, but you have to if you want to play with them. Maybe you don't like painting models, but you have to if you want to go to that tournament and get the minimum colors. There are always aspects of what we do that we feel we have to do in order to keep doing the hobby that we want to do. And there's always things that we want to do that we don't seem to have the time to do. So what do we do with that time to make it worthwhile to us? Because this is going to come a lot from personal experience, which is that I feel a lot of pull on my time and resources when it comes to this hobby and what I do, based upon expectations that either I set on myself or other people set upon me. And I find myself wanting to explore other avenues and other aspects of the hobby or spend my time doing other things that I don't feel I have the time to do. Now, granted, I have more time for this hobby than probably most people do. It's something that I made as a point of emphasis in my life, especially with the channel that I'm doing, is that I had to make a decision that this was going to be the main thrust of my time that I wanted to put into things. So I don't have as much time for video games, and that's a trade-off in time that I've made for myself that I'm okay with, because that's what I wanted. I want to do this channel. I want to do the things that are associated with this that I have built up, and that was from me. But at the same time, there's always things that we want to do, even when we make those understandable decisions that come with that. And for me, one of those things is painting. And I enjoy painting. I probably don't enjoy it necessarily as much as some people. There are some people that literally the painting is what drives them. For me, I enjoy the gaming aspect of it as well, and that drives me as well. And I have found that a lot of what drives my painting is what I need for games, whether it's battle reports, whether it's tournaments, and there's always seemingly a time constraint on what it is that I'm doing in order to put together a painted model. Either there's a tournament coming up that needs to be painted for the tournament for me to play with it in the tournament, or there's a battle report coming up because a new codex came out, or a new codex is gonna come out, or I just got the kit to try to show off to you. And all of these things are pulling at my time to make it happen and make it happen fast. And I have found that I have improved my painting skills over the years. I look back at some of my old ones and I just am looking at it and I go, wow, that is like not great for me. And I look at some of my newer models and I can see a notable difference, especially even in the faster models that I have to paint up for tournaments or paint up for a battle report that need to be done quick. Even then I look at the models and I'm like, I'm pleased with this paint job, if not proud enough to want to put it up into like a contest or something like that. So, but I feel like I could improve my painting job even better if I put time and effort into it. If I was painting something that was not just chosen because it's needed for this list or needed to show off for a battle report, if I had the opportunity to spend my time just painting what I wanted to paint, I feel like I could put in more time and effort into it. I could put in more, try different techniques and do things to improve my painting skills that I feel like I would be proud to do. But there's time. There's only so much time, and these things do pull. I do have battle reports I need to do. I do have tournaments that I have to go to. And I do need models for those games and those armies that I'm trying to work with, painted, built, painted, and presented either on the table at a tournament or presented at the table for a battle report. So how do we value what we need to do with our time? And at the end of the day, you have to look inside and understand what it is that's important to you. And I know I talk about this a lot, that I ask you to be introspective, and I find that hugely important in life in general, but especially with this hobby that we've chosen that has a lot of nuance to it, that has a lot of avenues to it, that has a lot of layers to it. You have to be introspective, otherwise you will find yourself in a rut. You will find yourself in a position where you are unhappy with the trade-offs that you make, that you are unhappy with the patterns that you've developed, that you are unhappy with what you are doing. And if you are not introspective, if you are not self-aware about what you are doing, what you are asked to do, and what you want to do, you will find yourself unhappy with the final results of your time that you are spending and that you are sacrificing into this hobby that could go other places, that could go to spending time with friends, that could be go spending time with family, that could be going into doing a different hobby or activity that you would want to do. It could just be going to just watching TV instead of painting. And that might be better than sometimes what this hobby can make us feel. And we talk about it as burnout. We talk about it as just frustrations. We put blame and anger onto GW because of rules changes. We put blame onto GW because of how they change their models. Or we place it onto just the sculpts that we are left with, the amount of money that we can do. There are a lot of ways to just disperse that anger that we feel and those frustrations that we feel inside of ourselves without properly understanding their cause and where they come from. And there are probably definitely times when we are upset with things and decisions that GW makes, that we are upset with the decisions that different companies make, or the price of having to buy the paints or buying models, or doing whatever it comes down to, learning the techniques and not wanting to waste our time and money and effort trying to learn new things that are going to fail with the first time we try it before they become something that we can do and become something that is going to make us proud. And our frustrations can build without us being aware of them unless we take that magnifying glass and turn it towards ourselves and understand what it is that we want and what is driving us and what is really where we find pride and we find fulfillment. So I'm doing some of that. I find myself, the last couple armies that I've done, I've painted up and I've been happy with the job. They look good. You know, my Black Legion Creations of Bile Space Marines look good. I'm happy with the way they look. I'm very proud to have them represent me as a painter and as a gamer and as a person, I guess. I don't know. My Sisters of Battle are very cool. I like the way they look. I like the way they look on the table, even though my friend Marcus has been playing them more often than I have and being very successful with them. So, and the fact that he is happy enough to have them represent him shows that they are a paint job that I can be proud of. I've been learning different tools and techniques, like getting into using the speed paints has been huge in cutting down the amount of time that I need to put into painting these models to get them onto the table for a tournament or a battle report and still be proud of the result. Speaks volumes to what the tools are, so what the Army painter has created, and I'm sure GW's contrast paints are the same. I haven't really tried them a lot. I use a lot of Army painter stuff, and I'm very happy with the results that I get from that. But at the same time, I find myself wanting and seeing these videos from people like Ninjon or from 52 Miniatures, Alex at 52 Miniatures. I love his work, and I love what he does. And his paint jobs that he does are not necessarily Golden Demon winning paint jobs, but they all require effort and an emphasis on painting as the purpose and making something that looks cool. So he took the box, the Age of Darkness box, and he's painting those Space Marines and putting them into dioramas, like going up against hobbits, or going. The latest video that he just put out was him using them up against, having a Space Marine become a Space Wolf, becoming like the big bad wolf, and blasting down the wall of a genetically modified pig. And it's not something that's going to be used on a gaming table. He does do gaming stuff as well. He does play Age of Sigmar, more emphasis for him, and he paints beautiful models for that. But he also makes sure that he takes time and he does painting that is not just for a purpose. That its literal purpose is to just be painted and look cool and be something that he can be proud of, that he can put out there. And I see that, and that's what I want. Back when we had lockdown from all the global pandemic, I painted up a bust that I was very proud of. I thought I spent a lot of time and effort and concentration on doing a good paint job with it, and I thought it turned out great. And I was very happy and pleased with what I was able to achieve. And I keep finding myself wanting to paint more like that. Paint something that's not for an army that I'm going to play. Paint something that's not going to be used on a tabletop. Paint something for the painting and hobby's sake. Because that's an aspect of this hobby that I don't dedicate enough time to find the fulfillment I want from it. And it's something that calls to me. And I keep ignoring the call and sending it to voicemail because I feel like I don't have the time. Because I've got to paint the next model for this battle report. Otherwise, I'm going to have the similar army that I played to the last battle report. Or I need to get it done for this tournament because it's the key unit that's going to make me win. That's going to take me to the top. That's going to get me the final trophy. And at the end of the day, you have to be able to be aware of those pressures that you're putting on yourself to perform on a tabletop in a tournament or perform in a tabletop in a battle report, as the case may be for me, and understand that, is that really the emphasis that I want to make with my hobby? Because hobbies need to be something that brings us fulfillment, brings us happiness, that brings us contentment, because we are dedicating a portion of our finite time in life, and more specifically in each day and week and month that we go through it, towards it. And that is valuable time that can be used elsewhere, that can be used for other things. And if we are going to spend that collateral, that time, that effort, it should be towards something that's going to make us feel fulfilled. And perhaps it might be. So perhaps there is a tournament coming up that I really want a cool list from, and then I dedicate my time to building that army and painting that army and getting it ready for the tournament. And I can feel contentment and fulfillment from it because I've accomplished something. I've accomplished something that I wanted to do. But I more and more am finding myself doing things because I think that's what I should be doing, as opposed to what I want to be doing. And coming to that realization, it makes you understand that your emphasis needs to be on what you want to do and not what you think you have to do, especially with the hobby, because a hobby is not something that we have to do just innately. You know, if you find yourself wanting to put more emphasis on painting as opposed to eating food, maybe your priorities are need to be reevaluated there, and you should spend time eating and not dying in your bedroom with a wet pallet on top of your desiccated body. You know, maybe you need to spend some time with family and friends to get that kind of emotional support that we need as social creatures. Perhaps you have to spend time going to work so that you are not left destitute on the side of the road using your paints to paint the inside of your cardboard box that is now your home. You know, there are times that we need to dedicate time and effort to things that are important outside the hobby. But when we have that hard sacrificed time for our hobby, it should be towards things that are going to bring us fulfillment. So it might be preparing that cool list that you want to bring to the tournament to do as well as you possibly can. And at that point, that is going to bring you the fulfillment that you want it to. And that is a noble venture to do with your time. But if you find yourself doing things that you think you are supposed to do, so if you have a list that you're happy with that's fully painted, looks great, you're happy to go to the tournament with, but everyone else tells you you need this new meta unit, but you think it looks like doo-doo, and you don't really find the motivation to build and paint it, then perhaps you leave it on the shelf. You know, maybe you don't go and build that and paint that. Maybe you spend the time doing what you want to do and painting up that cool new HQ that is not the most optimized choice, but looks rad, and you're going to be super happy to have them built and painted. And that's what I find myself being torn with, because I find myself thinking I need to do something when in fact I don't need to do anything. There's nothing that I need to do. I've got plenty of 2,000 points of many different armies that I can pick up and choose and play and field on the battle and have fun doing so, and, you know, be content with. And that I don't need to build and paint some of these units because there's no need to. What I need to do is I need to find ways to make myself happy with the time that I'm spending this, and not feel frustrated with the time that I'm dedicating towards aspects of this hobby that I find I want to be fulfilled with and that I find myself drawn to. And you need to do the same. You need to have that same kind of self-awareness and self-examination to find out what you truly want, so that we can get the most amount of enjoyment and contentment from this hobby. Perhaps you're just frustrated playing the game right now. Maybe that's not where your emphasis should be, so that your weekly game that you usually have, that you go to the gaming store and pick up with people at the store, maybe that's not what you want to do. Maybe right now gaming is just frustrating because of the rule system that's going on right now, the way your army is playing, how you want to play it doesn't quite work with the meta where you're playing. Maybe playing is just not what you want to do. So maybe next week, instead of bringing your 2,000 point army to the game store to go play with your friends there, maybe you bring some models and some paints and just keep chatting with your friends while they're playing there, while you're painting some models. Because that's really where you're finding the joy. That's really where you're finding the pull, is painting up some really cool looking HQs that you want to have sitting on there. Or painting up this tank that is really garbage on the battlefield, but you think looks really rad, and you want to add it to your collection. You want to have them so that when you eventually get back into feeling the urge to play, you can play with that cool looking tank. Whatever it is, you need to take that time to do that, you know? Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you put too much time and emphasis into painting and you're like, I just am not getting the social aspect of this hobby that I really want. Perhaps instead of spending your time hobbying for a week, you go to the game store on the gaming night and bring your 2,000 point army that isn't quite painted up the way that you want it to be, but is built and can be played with. And you go and have some fun for a couple hours throwing some dice and chatting with people. We need to understand that time is a finite and valuable thing. And if we aren't truly understanding what we are spending that time on, then we are wasting it. Because time wasted that we enjoy is not wasted at all. But time spent doing what we don't want to really do, and not what we need to do, but doing what other people think we should be doing, is a waste. And we need to take this hard-fought, this finite resource that we have, and spend it in a way that is best going to suit us and best going to do what we need it to do. And in this case, when it comes to hobbying, what we need it to do is bring us fulfillment, bring us happiness, bring us joy, bring us something that makes us feel contented. Because there's a lot going on in the world that we all face on a day-to-day basis that might not be bringing us joy, that may not be bringing us fulfillment, that may not be bringing us contentment. This hobby should be one of them. And if we are misspending that hard, dedicated time not bringing fulfillment to us, then I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. And at the end of the day, you're probably also doing other people a disservice. If you are playing games when you want to be painting, you're probably not as engaged with it as you could otherwise be. And vice versa. If you are spending your time painting instead of playing, you could probably bring someone else some contentment and enjoyment and fulfillment by being a foil to their battles and enjoying each other's company there on the battlefield, on the tabletop. So it's just something, like I said, that's been going at my mind, and that's been making me think and making me try to decide on the decisions that I make. And I'm probably going to start dedicating a bit more time to the painting aspect of this hobby for myself and what I want to do, as opposed to necessarily what I think I should be doing or need to do when there's no need for anything. So, let me know down below if you guys have anything that you like to do, like with this self-examination, if there's things that you wish you had more time to do. And maybe there's things that you've learned that allow you to do those things that you want to do. So finding ways to dedicate more time to playing or to painting, or to maybe just having, maybe you buy built models online because you don't like to build them. So you only build pre-built models that are used. Or maybe building is what you really like to do. So you have a sea of gray because you just don't like painting. Maybe, you pay people to paint your armies because you just want to play with them. Whatever it is, let me know what your tools are to spending your time more the way you want to do it down below, and maybe we can help each other to find out what's going to be best for us all. So, I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. I have been Phil, the Glacial Geek, as always. And until next time, stay safe and have fun.